Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Susi Afifah and I will read the first slide. The first slide is abstract. Advertisement text is persuasive text and persuasive text aims to convince the reader or audience to be in line with the ideas suggested by the author. Because the transitions of the source language to the target language often reduce the effect of the original persuasive text. The translator needs to add an element of his creativity, of course, by maintaining the main message that the author wishes to convey. In translating, advertisement special strategies are needed. This strategy is based on a variety of advertisement language that have their own language style. In its applications, the advertisement translation strategy can be applied in a variety of translation techniques according to the needs of translator. The ultimate goal is to produce an advertisement translations that can be understood by the target consumer and convey the sale value of the product the producers wants. The next is introductions. The era of globalization makes communications and cooperations between countries inevitable. In today's era, it is almost impossible for a country to live alone without side by side and in cooperations with other countries. One type of cooperation that is happening is increasingly widespread international trade. Trade between countries is a clear example that is not enough just to depend on the domestic market, but also require consumers from abroad to increase the profit of a country's private sector and government. In the field of trade, one of the most effective ways to introduce goods and services to foreign markets is through advertising media. IW 2010 says, to do business and to sell well, you naturally need to introduce your products to the foreign consumer, and to do this, you inevitably have to have research to advertisement.
While graphic is a non-linguistic ornament that appears on various types of advertisement. For example, color composition, interior, actors, layout, scenes in audio advertisement visual, and etc. In translating advertisement, both need to be considered in accordance with the cultural and political norms of the country, which is the target language. It could be that a word or symbol must be changed, removed, or addended to the target language text to avoid cultural or political conflicts. By therefore, in translating advertisement, translator don't just concentrate on delivery of message textually only, but also need to consider various non-linguistic ornaments found in the language of the source of the text. Previous studies about the study of search and the text target advertising has been carried out by Zequan Smith and Ewan. Ewan examines the ad language translation strategy, Ewan focusing his researches on advertising products from China that translated into English. Another case with Smith, who examined the translator of English language at title and their translation in Russian. In his research, Smith also looked at changes in element, rhetoric on search and target ads. Meanwhile, Zequin focusing his research on the phenomenon of disappearance and additional and gain. Translation of English pure product advertisement into language Chinese using a functional systematic language approach. Although translation aids are rarely found on print media, Indonesia has many textual translation advertisements shown on television. Translation often add subtitle to advertisement concerned as well as doing voiceover. In additional, textual elements are appearing on the television screen also translated so that the ad is easy target to consumer understand.
Okay, thank you for the time. My name is Sarotari. Now I would like to giving you the next explanation. You can see that there is the ads lemon water and orange water. What makes a champion? That is a English ad, but you can see the translation in Indonesian language. An ads translate into Indonesian language when into television. So, what is mean? That from the sample above, we know that possibly a producer feel the such ad is sufficient to present the information that want to deliver to target consumers. So how to translate with the subtitles? Okay, next we go to the slide. Translation by giving subtitle using technique. So what is the techniques? The technique is that for switch messages from the search language to target language. For example, that you do to apply to the level of words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. That was said by Molina and Albert in 2002. So, translation in the television or on several television commercial, among the others, reduction techniques, transposition techniques, and techniques pure landing. Okay, the reduction landing, can you say that it is techniques that is applied with partial removal, and then transposition techniques that you can read the translation techniques where the translator change grammatical categories like word and phrases. And then borrowing techniques is a translation technique that done by the borrowing words of the phrases from the search language.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will continue the presentation. My name is Fasya Aina Irasati. Okay. Below are presented some TV advertisement with the application of the translation technique above. Example 1, BSU, with OLED total effect, you will love your skin. In BSA, with OLED total effect, love your beautiful skin. Example 2, BSU, you see 1,000, healthy inside, fresh outside. BSA, you see 1,000, healthy inside, fresh outside. In the tagline translation example above, there are reduction and transposition techniques in example 1, whereas in example 2, pure landing techniques are used. The translator choose the reduction and transposition techniques in example 1 by realizing the persuasive effect that they want to convey to the customer. Meanwhile, in example 2, with the consideration that the landing techniques makes the product easier than the literal translation. According to Gwender in his article entitled The Translation of Advertisement from Adaptation to Localization, business translation can also be done by location. Translation that use verbal and nonverbal adaptation. Example of localization can be seen in advertisements that appear in Indonesia. One of them is the 2009 version of the Coca-Cola Ber and in English and Indonesia. If seen as a whole, a different advertising concept in presented in the Indonesia version. The English version of the ad tells about black and white who surprised them after drinking Coca-Cola. This advertisement was also a right in Indonesia, but to make the product closer to customer, the producer made an Indonesian version, reconstruction sure ads, with the case of several Indonesian citizens who were asked for opinion on Coca-Cola product. The essence of the message in the pleasure obtained by the customer after drinking Coca-Cola products. Message of the essence at translation. This target is aimed at producer of target customer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Devi Octaviani, and then I will continue the next presentation. Okay. From the examples of translating the above, then the translation can refer to two different things, namely, first, textual translation, and then second, reconstruction of search advertisement. Because there are two ways to translate that different, the translation product is divided into two, namely, first, product textual translation, and then second, localization products. The emergence of both types of a translation is in line with opinion Numak. The translator is at his most creative when he is handling the persuasive function. And then the next slide. In persuasive text, including ad text, translators have freedom in creativity. This is because of the text persuasion has the aim of convincing the reader or the audience to be in line with ideas suggested by the author. Due to the transition of the search language to target languages often reduces the effect of persuasive text original. The translator needs to add an element of his creativity, of course, with maintaining the main message that the author wants to convey. In order to achieve its main goal is to get the attention of consumers' target, so that they want to buy the product offered. Ads are always made as interesting as possible by using persuasive language. Creativity translator is also needed in translating the advertisement, so that the message is the producer wants to be able to reach the target consumers.
Okay, in the example above, the translation translates the word his blinding head or blinding his head with literal translations, but choosing diction the more polite, which is training here. Application of strategy, clarity of information through literal techniques. The kinds will make the reader easily understands the contents of advertising message as a whole. 3. The use of comparative and superlative constructions to get the effect. Certain comparative and superlative constructions can be used so that the effects are persuasive, which represents the selling value of the product, can be conveyed. BSU, how we looks affect us, but most important is our healthy. And then BSA, our performance has a big impact, but healthy is far more urgent. The above example is taken from the translation of UC 1008. Translation maintaining the comparative form of BSU so that it can convey effects persuasive of the advertised product. And then the next is the use of neologism to bring up something new. Neologism or the formation of new words or expressions can be used to get something iconic for the product concerned. The use of neologism with a adaptation technique or technique which is done by replacing the existing cultural elements of BSU with cultural elements that are similar and exist in BSA have been displayed on the wrong one version of the Coca-Cola ad which used the source language tagline "Brr" on the cook side of life. One version of the translation used the tagline which is adapted the pronunciation of Indonesian by bringing up neologism becomes "brr" passion in Coca-Cola style life. Appearance brr excited neologism makes product more iconic so the easy to remember by target consumers. In this example, the element of borrowing is done by maintaining the word borrow and adding elements done by adding the word spirit.
My name is Leni Fitriani. I'm going to continue the next material about strategy of translation advertisement. Number 3. The use of comparative and superlative construction to get certain effects. What is comparative and superlative construction? Comparative construction is used to compare difference between two objects, and superlative construction is used to describe an object that has a low and high level. Comparative and superlative construction can be used so that persuasive effect that represent the selling points of the product can be conveyed. For example, search language, how we look affects us, but most important is our health. The target language, penampilan kita berpengaruh besar, namun kesehatan jauh lebih penting. The example taken from the translation of UC 1000 advertisement. Translator maintain the comparative form of the search language in order to convey the persuasive effect of the product being advertised. Number 4. The use of neologism to bring something new. Neologism or the formation of new words or expression can be raised to get something iconic for the product and relevant. The use of neologism with adaptation technique has never been tried in accurately one version of the Coca-Cola advertisement that used the tagline search language "brr" on the cook side of life. One version of the translation used a tagline that is adjusted to the pronunciation of Indonesia by showing neologism becomes "bersemangat di hidup ala Coca-Cola." The appearance of neologism "bersemangat" make the product more iconic so easy to remember by target consumer.
Okay, I will continue the presentation. My name is Putri Mutiarani. Number 5. Avoid difficult terms. Ingredients that are not known among ordinary people do not need to be mentioned in the advertisement. So, some products have ingredients that are often unfamiliar among ordinary people. Translator can get rid of these difficult terms or replace them with the words that are more familiar to ordinary people. Number 6. The superiority of product takes priority. The main purpose of advertising is to inform the target product of the superiority. Prioritizing product excellence can be applied with the variety of translation technique. One of them with the following borrowing technique. The first, from short language, with UC 1000, healthy inside, fresh outside. And second, from the target language, dengan UC 1000, healthy inside, fresh outside. So the product sample tagline above is borrowed by translation with the intention of maintaining the product value or product superiority. Prioritizing product excellence through landing technique is done with the consideration that the vocabulary used is easily to understood by the target consumer of the product. Okay, next, number 7, repetition of the same word. Repetition of word can have its own effect on the target consumer. I wait 2010
Example files the translation of cleaning product in the China into English as saving your money, saving your effort. So with repetition, it is easy to consumer to remember repetition and will be easily remind of the product effort. Okay, next, number 8, cultural consideration of source language and target language. If the source advertisement has many cultural elements that are less acceptable to the target consumer, then adaptation or localization can be chosen. Meanwhile, if it is felt then the source advertisement is acceptable to target consumer, the maintaining the textual meaning can be done.
Okay, last but not least, the translating ads also need special strategies. This strategy is based on a variety of ad languages that have language style alone. But when your application and ad translation strategy can be applied in a variety of techniques according to the needs of translators. So when you translators that you want to translate an ad, you must choose the technique. You must choose the technique that recognize your ads. Thank you for the day. Wassalamualaikum.